is on DJ Nation? Kenny Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast this week for the Sanderson Farms Championship. As usual, I am here with another GPP winner, another GPP win for Mr. Tyler Tamboline. Tyler, what is up, my friend?
Yeah, another great week. The Canadians did not show up at the President's Cup, but I showed up at the President's Cup, and it ended up being a pretty good week. So yeah, excited about that one. Got the takedown. Love a good game theory week, Kenny. We put the work in. You were up there too. Yeah, we had shots on Sunday. It was just the way it shook out. You were a 2v2 away from me and ended up being a solid run out. I needed a lot of luck. I needed Munoz to beat the number one in the world, Scotty Scheffler, after not starting round one. I needed Tom Kim to fend off the Homa comeback, which that 7-footer on 18 was for all the money, or sorry, on 17 was for all the money. If he misses that, Homa gets that hole one, no hold play bonus on 18 and match one, and I lose by like 0.5. So literally the perfect run out. It's been a good 4 days. So, get back at it again tonight. We got Monday Night Football, but we're back. We got Sanderson Farms. So a lot to talk about here on this show.
That sounds good. You want to talk a little bit about prize picks before we get started?
Yeah, before we get into it, we'll do, as always, talk about our sponsor, prizepicks.com. You guys can head on over to prizepicks.com. Use promo code MMN. Get yourself a 100% deposit bonus up to $100 on your first deposit. We're doing everything with it. I told you guys already, every Wednesday night, Thursday morning, give or take, comes out a NFL Prize Pick show that I do. For swing season, won't be a lot of the golf conversation just yet, but they are going to have set up lines for us going into the regular season where we can talk about it. It's daily fantasy made easy, prize picks, a bunch of ways you can do them. I'm excited for it. It's a lot of fun. Easier, like you talked about last time. We keep talking it up, but it's easy way to make money. So if you haven't signed up yet, you can go over to prizepicks.com, use promo code MMN. That's going to be it for this week, Kenny.
Yeah, like Tambo said, I think I had the 10th best lineup. I finished 51st. Of course, there's going to be a whole bunch of dupes in that big $20. So I was up there as well. Of course, 51st, just $200. Well, what did you win? Like 25K, even though yours was duped like God knows how many times. Yeah. So it's still winning week. I only had 5 lineups in. So yeah, winning week, I'll take it. What an event. I thoroughly enjoyed the President's Cup. I mean, yes, it was an ass beating. We all figured it was going to be an ass beating, but there was that little moment, just that little moment on Sunday. I think it was like midday when maybe like around 2 or 3 o'clock, when the Americans had just missed like 3 3-footers in a row, right? Like back to back to back, like 3 straight shots on the TV. I forget who it was, and everything was getting really, really close. It came down to the last few matches, 4 matches, but overall, it was a great event. I mean, the internationals had chances. I mean, the first 2 days, I think like 8 of the 10 matches went to 17. Mm-hmm. And they were only able to pull out they played 2 points out of that. And that's sort of what did them in. Maybe it was nerves in the beginning of the week because, a lot of them, 8 rookies on the team, they'd have no idea what to expect. That's probably what was to blame when it comes down to it. And you could blame the Canadians. Y'all fucking suck.
The pairings, though, in general, honestly, to forget that, I know it's a good joke between us and the Koreans crushed. I'm happy for you, but I'm just saying the pairings on both sides on the redraws, in some cases, were very questionable. Sitting your best team for the Americans after they just crushed. And to your point, Kenny, that was the interesting part. Like day one, even, I know it was 4-1, but X and Cantlay blowout for sure. The other 4 matchups, they went pretty deep. Like there was definitely a chance. And then you had I'm not sticking up for the international side. They were minus 700 was the favorites, the U.S. going into this thing. We joked about it last week with the internationals. None of us were putting crazy money on this thing. But the point was
$40. I put a FOMO bet, $40 on the international.
Beath was
just in case.
Things.
Just in case.
Burns was doing crazy stuff with the putter. Cam Young was doing crazy stuff with the putter. Like that's in some of those close matchups. It's not validation. That's variance. It can go either way. The point being, it was actually entertaining, man. Like even though it was a bit of a blowout early on, then like you said, there was that certain moment around Saturday where I think someone like Riggs or someone from Barstool tweeted us, like, in these big events, when you get that moment where it just feels like all the momentum shifting one way and you think, there's a chance .gif with Jim Carrey. It felt like that for just a minute. And then it went away. And obviously singles was fun on Sunday. I always like the singles way better personally, but like I said, some of the stuff
I'm more of the team play in the first 3 days. That's what I love.
That's why you
what
love
I want
Live,
to
baby.
see.
That's why you love
I
Live.
guess that could be it. That could be a reason.
It is so much fun though.
I just love that team competition. Just playing for another guy. You saw Siwoo and Tom. I mean, skill wise, they shouldn't have been able to compete, right? I mean, if you would expect, I mean, just pure talent wise, they weren't supposed to compete on that final match on Saturday. But they just kept bringing each other up and getting each other hype. And that got through to the next day. That Siwoo JT match.
Amazing. I was just going to say, that was incredible.
One of the best matches.
And JT got to whining again a little bit about the putt.
Yeah. Well, he does that all the time.
What happened?
He got crushed. Usually he uses that to his advantage. Yeah. Usually he'll. What I was worried about that when Siwoo didn't give him that 2-footer, I was like, you don't really want to egg JT on. I said last week that he wasn't that good at the President's Cup. I think I was looking at somebody else. I was completely wrong about that. I think I was thinking about like Spieth. I don't know what I was thinking. It was a mistake on my end. The guy's one of the best out there in the President's Cup, in the Ryder Cup, and to just, you don't want to piss him off because he's the type of guy that uses that shit.
But when you got nothing to lose, which is the case that Siwoo had there, who cares? Make him putt.
That's true. And he did, and it actually got into his head, and he fucked up, and he lost a whole bunch of holes coming in, and he lost the match, is what happened. But I mean, what a match. I mean, both of them had that putt on 18, which is basically the same putt. Siwoo drilled his. Great match. Very, very entertaining. Once again, the Live guys are there, probably a different story. But I think it's good for the future of the event because there is talk where people didn't even want to see this event played anymore, with the Live guys gone and how much the United States is going to whoop that ass. Now, this one at least gave it a little hope for home because at home for the internationals, last 2 times, it's been very close, very, very tight. So hopefully we can find another Tom Kim or have half the team be Korean next time and we'll be fine. You have 6 Koreans on that team next time. Bring them out 3 the first day, 3 the second day. Have them all 3 on the third day, and then play their singles. Print money, print trophies. Just get the Koreans out there. We're fucking good to go.
How far do you think the Tom Kim hype went? Because the hype train has existed for a little while, but not anything like this. Like anyone that knew him, we go back to the days on Twitter, Jude Deloy, and then Sky Hook. Those guys brought him up like back in 2017, I think, is what the original tweet keeps getting pulled from. I hopped on the train, if you will, around like 18, 19, getting excited about this kid for nothing like I would ever expect like this. We were playing him as like a value play in DFS and things like that. Obviously, at the Open this year at a cheap price tag, the hype sort of lifted up from there. I think it was 6,300 there, and we saw the rise from there. But man, the guy was getting some real screen time this weekend. And the coolest quote I read, Dylan Diethier, I forget how you say his last name, but he's on Twitter, great follow, did an article on it. And the quote in there was just awesome of Trevor Immelman saying, when he really saw it with this kid, and this is taking it far, it's still Tom Kim we're talking about, is not the next, Rom or something like that for the international side or something in the future. But he said the best thing he saw out of him was like a 200-yard shot out. He was always way behind with his drives. All the U.S. boys, the best in the world, are behind his ass watching him because it's about to be over. It's him versus Homa. And he says he just slices it up to like 5 feet just in front of all these dudes. Like, that is some incredible stuff. Like, just the pressure, everything that's there. Again, you could say there's no pressure because the internationals are out of it, but still take some balls to go do that with everybody there, like probably your heroes. He's taking pictures with them, calling it the boys and having fun with them while he's there at the event. So, I mean, it's definitely some good stuff. It's still fun to watch. It made the event. It just brought some life into it for the international side, at least from my perspective.
Yeah. Roster Koreans win cups. That's it. That's it.
Hero.
That's it. I mean, other guys who showed up, Munoz, really pissed he withdrew from the Sanderson because to go in there, I think he went like 3-0, right?
He crashed.
He went 3. I think he went 3-0, right? He went 3-0 out there. Don't know why I only played 3, but he went 3-0 out there. Either 3-0 or 2-1, one of the two. And he goes out there, whooping up on these American boys coming out here. If he came to the Sanderson Farms, he'd be like, I should crush these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like after what he did at the President's Cup. And so he was in my cash game cornerstones. So I had to like totally adjust. That sort of sucked.
But we've always said that about him, even at other events. Like Munoz is a bit of a killer. We always said like Kuchar was the smiling, what we call him, like the smiling villain or something, or the smiling assassin. That's what Munoz kind of is. He's always smiling when we go back to the Flex Seal days, but he would just be mowing boys down, making, 7 under, 8 under on the round on a Saturday to get into the mix going into Sunday. And then he's right there. So I think that kind of made sense for me, but this is interesting withdrawal timing. I know there was already rumors about him going to live. If he is, talk about a walk-off, beat Scotty Scheffler, #1 in the world, who, by the way, you talked about the Canadians, good Twitter joke, but the Scotty Scheffler heater, it's got to be over, right? That's over. It was just,
I mean, they shot like 62 and lost or some shit, right? Didn't they? Burns and Scheffler. I mean, Burns played well and he got half a point.
Yeah, that was something. Yeah, but like again, what did he knock down? Like an 81-footer and a 60-footer.
Yeah,
two of the holes there.
Yeah, like Chef didn't look that great. Burns looked a lot better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Either way, I don't know. Like that was another one I thought. Like again, the way they warmed up, and we talked about this on last week's pod. I really thought after the round 1L, if they take it, which they did, I thought you would see them go to Burns Horschel. And just because they have the history together and playing well in those formats, why not roll it and then get Scotty with somebody else to switch it up? But again, they never needed it. It was just, minus 700 for a reason. We talked about it. Cannot believe it opened at 300, even with Cam Smith in there. Like, I don't know if he's worth that much to the line. So Neiman, I guess, too. But once they were announced, it only slowly got to minus 700 where it ended. But my point is, like, that was just, it was obvious. It was going to happen that way. So got closer than it probably should have. And it made for a great event in the end, I thought.
Yeah. So, I mean, like next President's Cup is in Montreal. I am planning on being there.
We're going for sure.
Yeah, I'm planning on being there. The problem is it's in Canada.
That's not a problem.
How many fucking Canadians are going to be on the team? Hopefully none, because y'all fucking suck. Now, what could happen is they use that to play well in their home field. They know that they sucked last time they come out, play better at home. That could definitely be something we see, hopefully, in 2024 in Montreal.
I think it makes it exciting, at least, to get it on, an international turf, if you will, where we're going to be in Canada for it, and something we can all get to, but you'll still have a bunch of American fans there. Like, it's going to be awesome, and just people rooting for both sides because of that. So I'm definitely excited for that one, man. That's going to be a great event. Definitely going. That's already on the calendar, planned out, 100% locked in.
Yep, we're in there. All right, so let's move on. Anything else you want to talk about the President's Cup?
No, I think that was good, man. We talked about it all.
All right, so there was no listener league last week. If I'm right? There was no listener league.
Yeah, no listener league last week. We're still waiting to hear back from this week. They assured us we would have one, but obviously with the swing season, football, everything else going on, we just can't guarantee it. But we can guarantee is when it comes back, we will tweet it out, have it out there for you. Follow me on Twitter at @ToeTagAndTambo. You'll see it out there, and then on top of that, it'll qualify for the TOC when we get it out there. The minute it comes out, the first week, any winners that come from any tournaments will be in the Tournament of Champions at the end of the year.
All right, so let's get to this week. The PGA Tour heads to Mississippi for the Sanderson Farms Championship from the Country Club of Jackson. The Country Club of Jackson has hosted this event for like the last 7 years, and the 7 winners have used like a variety of different skill sets to get the job done. Ryan Armour, especially off the tee. Ryan Armour, Peter Malnati. Like Ryan Armour, when he won year, he averaged 269.5 yards with his drive. Just for comparison, I think like Cameron Champ, when he won here, averaged like 335 yards per drive. So huge difference right there. So, Malnati is shorter guy. They both averaged less than 270 yards off the tee. Nick Taylor, Cody Gribble, hit driver off the tee a bunch, around 295 off the tee. Gribble, 312, and then Champ and Munoz, a couple of years ago. And then, of course, you have Sergio in there, who's, just tee to green magic. So, yeah, you can win this in any type of way off the tee. You don't have to be a bomber. It's going to help. It's going to help, but you don't have to be, as we've seen from these winners. Now, one thing that was very similar between the golfers, all these golfers, one was solid iron play. Only Gribble was outside the top 10 in greens and regulation for the week of their win. Also, 5 of the last 7 winners were inside the top 11 in putts per green and regulation. In putts per green in regulation, and we're strong in strokes gained putting. So what does this really tell us? Not much, actually. Basically, any type of golfer whose putter gets hot can win this event, which makes it more difficult to narrow down the playing field. Like my betting card is fucking ridiculous. This course should be well suited for aggressive drivers since the rough is short and there aren't too many problems off the box. Now, hitting it 350 yards off the tee isn't going to help if the wedge game is poor, but distance off the tee, like I said, could help. Now, poor putters have also fared well here. The greens seem really easy to putt on. A couple of tidbits before we go to the course. 5 of the last 7 winners here were maiden winners, and 3 of the 7 were tour rookies. Okay, so the course preview. The Country Club of Jackson, 7,400-yard plus par 72 with the traditional 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. The par 5s, you're going to get your scoring on the par 5s, but they're not like automatic birdie holes. There's been some times where the birdie rate on these 4 par 4s have been in the bottom 15. It doesn't happen every year, but it's happened more than once at this course where the 4 par 5s are in the bottom 15 for courses on tour each year. And that's for scoring average. Now, 3 of them are quite lengthy, 584, 590, 615, and the par 5 11th has a giant pond in front of the green, leading to many to lay up on the second shot. Now, with the length and talent of many young golfers today, some can go off on the par 5s, of course. I mean, it's happened at this event. You see people go off. It's just overall, it's not as easy, these par 5s. Now some things, you might want to take a peek at par 4 scoring instead also, because 7 of the 10 par 4s are under 450 yards, including a drivable par 4 15th hole. Golfers are going to need to take advantage of these short par 4s to contend. And also 2 of the par 3s are over 200 yards. Now, off the tee, golfers will see slightly above average with tree line. You know what? They're not above average in width. They're average to narrower in width compared to other courses. And it's tree line fairways with bunkers guarding the landing zones. The trees aren't dense. So if players, if golfers hit it into the trees, it's possible, and they still have a shot onto the green. Again, there aren't too many dog legs, and the Bermuda rough is only around 2 inches. You're not going to have that much trouble hitting it out of the rough here. I think this course is like 35th to 40th out of like 44 to 46 courses when it comes to difficulty out of the rough. So pretty easy out of the rough on this course. Now, again, that's relative, of course. The Bermuda rough can be hard to hit out of no matter what the length is, just because of the, it causes that flyer type line. It's hard to judge distances, but it seems like at this course, doesn't really take into effect that much. All right. Now, I stated before, there'll be a wide array of strategies from the tee box. Outside of the par 5s, of course, is short enough where we will see most hitting less than driver off the tee on the short courses. On the shortos, you can see a lot more drive. I've seen a lot more driver at this course the last 2 or 3 years than the previous 4. I don't know whether people are looking at the course and figuring it out, or if it's a new breed of player that's an aggressive, young, youthful player, and you see a lot of youth in these fall events. So that could be another reason why I've seen so many more drivers. Now, but you don't have to hit driver on this course, but many will. Now, you will see, like I said, you're going to see a fair amount of golfers using the bomb and gouge approach. One thing in favor of short hitters is the fact that the course hasn't seen, too much rain recently, so maybe they can get a little bit more roll. So when it comes to approach shots, golfers are going to see average size elevated greens with bunkers, water, and runoff areas guarding the putting surface. The greens have a bit of slope and undulation, and missing the greens will lead to a tough-ish up and down from below the hole or from the green side bunkers. Strokes gained around the green, very, very little percentage of the winners, total strokes gained when it comes to this event. So not really that big of a deal. The greens are Bermuda grass with a stick meter rating of around 12. So that's something, again, keep an eye on the weather. The course could definitely lengthen. You could see more drivers if it's soggy. This course is normally soft anyways. You know, especially the greens. I know that last year they watered the greens before each round just to keep them soft because they hadn't had that rain. So their goal is to keep this course playable, easy, and soft. Tambo.
Yeah, a lot of what you said, man. I think, like you said, the bomb and gouge thing stands out. You look even to like last year, and I think, you know, we'll see similar to that, but Burns won it. Cam Young, Buckley, Mullinex, Thigala, Varner, you know, guys that can still get it out there at least enough. Even last year, like Corey Connors, Zalatoris, Taylor Moore, Matt Wolf. Like there's a bunch of guys there that you just expect that to be the case. Par 5 scoring, birdie or better. And then another one, Kenny, just stood out to me at least a little bit. I'm never a course history guy anyway, but this place is so random, right? Like Burns won it the year before missed cut. And you say, okay, he got better, but there's other examples that I had. Like if you go down through it, like Seamus Power, who's probably become a better golfer nowadays. Back in the day was like 18th, 19th, just 3-4 years ago. Then miscut. You see that one. You see who was another guy? Scott Stallings, miscut last year, 6th the year before that. Like just so much off and on. Keegan Bradley, miscut last year, 4th the year before that. So it really does look like that across the board. Benny On, who we'll talk about later, miscut 3rd the year before that. And then a guy like Streelman, 31st, 4th, and 10th amongst 2 other miscuts. So just looking at the history, I'm not really going to focus on that as much. I'm going with who sets up for the course well. We haven't got any, to me, like the recent form stuff is all going to be very random off such short fields and short events, I should say, that are, you know, it's just getting into the swing season. And I'm going to bet on talent. And some of the stuff with the pricing this week from DraftKings just looks like pure misprices. Again, remembering what that will lead to, people like us and others out there that are getting content out for the week saying that, and then more going to those price points. So keep that in mind when you're building. You don't want to pump them all together into the same lineup probably, but it doesn't mean you just have to fade to fade there. You know, unless you find someone around the range that you think you really like, that's a better option, by all means, you can always do it. It's golf. But I'm saying there is some prices that I just don't really understand here. And we'll talk about them when we go through the tiers.
Let's go ahead and get to the tiers. Tampa, why don't you start up in this 10K range? We're going, of course, what was it? Henley? Who's the cheapest?
It's Henley up to Burns. Yeah, 4 guys.
Yep. So Henley up to Burns. How you going?
Yeah, I like to, you know, just play this one off ownership. I think Burns is the best play on paper, but if you look at this and look at the stats, they're incredible. But like you just talked about, coming off of a President's Cup win, playing really well there, so it can carry over. I'm not going to full fade him, but I'm just saying I would be leery of how you go about building your lineups with him, just because he's going to be very popular.
Well, especially he played all 5 matches, like 90 holes in 4 days. Like I was gonna play Munoz. He only played 3. I was gonna play, yeah. Bez,
Burns
probably.
is just so young. I'm cutting you off. I don't care, because Burns 5 matches, Munoz 3. It doesn't matter. But Burns and them 1. People will say if that's going to become a narrative that keeps his ownership in check, then he's the best guy up here.
I'm gonna play him. I'm playing him.
Yeah, so I like that. The other thing I was going to say is just the prices, right? Poston and Henley are just way overpriced. Here's the interesting factor, I think, Kenny. If you go back to the last event at the Fortinet, nobody played Thigala because he was priced up to this number. Thigala came through and performed quite nicely at the number. So now what I think that leads to is actually him probably being the second highest owned up here, and people just aren't going to pay this for Poston and Henley. Again, does that mean you should just play them blindly? No, but Poston's made what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 of the last 6 cuts here, miscut last year, but before that, 3rd and 11th. So again, not going off full history. The stats though back it up. Like I said, if you look at par 5, he's 8th in the field. You look at DK scoring and birdies are better. He's top 10 in both. Overall, top 10 in tee to green. And then you go to Henley and the stats are even better across the board. So I think they're the interesting one for tournaments. If you want to start up here, if you want to lump McCarthy in, and then you could do the same group, because then Munoz withdrew and we can just do the rest of the 9 after. I don't think I can get to McCarthy. I know it's a history play, 17th, 6th, 18th, and 7th, but I will play Henley above him or Poston before I play McCarthy as well. What are you doing up top?
Yeah, so I'm starting with Thigala as my cash game cornerstone. I mean, you know, I think a win is coming for him. Everyone knows it. Everyone sees it. And this is the type of field that it can happen with. You know, I like Thigala as my cash game cornerstone. 8th here last year, coming off a 6th place or top 10, top 15 at the Fortinet Championship. You know, I like his par 5 scoring is elite. His iron game well above average. I like Thigala. I think he wins. I bet him 20 to 1. So he's my first cash game cornerstone. I'm going to play Burns. I'm fading. I'm not fading Denny because I'm playing him in cash. Let's just move on to this next this next tier. My second cash game cornerstone is going to be Denny, and it's a cash. It's a course history play basically because like I'm looking at everyone around here. I had Munoz first. I had Munoz as my second cash game cornerstone, but of course he withdrew. And like I thought about Montgomery, but he gained like 27 strokes putting last time.
I would highly advise you to go back to your original lineup, leave the $100 and play Montgomery over McCarthy.
You think?
Yes, he's literally like the guy is just insane right now as far as what he's been doing. Play Stallings if you don't believe in it. Stallings is a 6, 28, 30. If you like the history and someone who's playing good recently,
I'm going to play these guys in GPPs. I'm going to stick with Denny in cash.
I don't think he's that safe, and I think he's very overpriced, and his stats are horrible right now. If you're going even the last 50 rounds, Denny is atrocious at 9,900.
No, I got you, but I'm going with what he does. He's one of the best Bermuda putters out there, top 5. If this becomes a putting contest, which it normally does, is what I would like to see. His iron game hasn't been great. He's been doing a lot of putting, but he was a little bit better last time out with his irons. He wasn't great, but he was like, I think he lost like 3.5 strokes the time before. He lost like a half stroke last time. I could be mistaken. I'm not looking at my computer when I'm looking at this. It's just going off my memory. And of course, not the greatest memory in the world. And so, yeah, I'm going to stick with Danny. But when it comes to other plays, I don't know if I want to go. How popular do you think Montgomery would be? Because he's very popular. I think he's a fade for me.
But that's why I think he's fine in cash because he's literally coming in off a third. You could say his putting from when? Last event? Go before that. Third, ninth, fourth, third, second. Like every field that's like this. He's better than most of the guys up top. It's just the way it shakes out.
Just 12 strokes putting and only losing 1.1 strokes ball striking.
Yeah,
it's not something that I want to do in cash.
I just can't imagine a better course setup for a guy like him too. He's just going to pound it out there and get all those par 5s. It's going to be very hard. You just need a made cut. And this guy's literally coming top 10 and top 5 in every event he plays.
Yeah, he does. But I don't feel him this week. I'm fading
what's
him.
your thoughts on Stallings then? I got some thoughts here, but go ahead. Keep rolling this range. What do you like with Stallings?
Yeah, I'm playing Stallings. He's playing really good golf. I mean, the end of the year was the best we've seen him play. I'm hoping that he comes back, in this new year and gets down with it. Other guys that I'm thinking of Bradley, I'm thinking of Bez, and I'm thinking of Riley. I don't know whether I'm going to play any of them. I'm just thinking of what are your thoughts on those 3 golfers down on the bottom?
I think we got to play some of them because I think, again, this is a different event than last. I talked about the last one. I'm flipping back again from a strategy perspective this week. I'm going to take stands on the value plays. I'm not going to sprinkle every Corn Ferry Tour guy up and comer that we all need to get a FOMO piece of. I don't care. I don't mind losing. So I'm going to play the way I want to play. And I think this week it's to sprinkle these guys more because we know Montgomery is going to be popular and we know why for good reason. You mentioned the piece about the putter. I think it's a made cut and plenty of DraftKings scoring. So I'm okay with fitting him in. But I think there are some pivot options here if you do want to skip them. Stallings being one of them. You mentioned it. Forget the course history, which is already good. Besides last year's miscut, it was a 6, 28, 39th, and 43rd. But I told you earlier, I'm not on that. 29th, 2nd, miscut. 13th, 10th, 4th, and 8th is his recent form.
Yeah. You might have talked me into changing from Denny to Stallings, but
Stallings is what I was going to say.
Not Denny to Montgomery. Denny to Stallings. You know what? I'm going to keep it with that. What it is now. It could change by Wednesday when I bring out my final cash game cornerstone release. I rarely ever change it. I've changed it like once or twice in all these years that I've done these cash game cornerstones. So it doesn't happen often. But the way you were arguing with me, you might have swayed my way. I'll have to think about it more as
just on this one. I never do that with you, but this one I feel strongly about. The Stallings thing too. If you
I got to listen to the man. I got to listen to the man, right?
On a heater
the
right
GPP
now,
Canadian man, right? So, all right. So we'll see on Wednesday. I might change that, but for now, stick in Denny. Who else do you like in this 9K range?
The other thing I was just going to add on Stallings, so we know what he's got for driving distance. He's top 20, but then you go look, even like his shorter irons are good. So if he comes up a little shorter, he has to lay up or anything like that. He's solid from there. And then you've got 10th in the field in birdie or better too. So I like his scoring. I like Keegan for that same reason. Keegan is good across the board and all this, better than most think with a driver in hand. Miscut last year, 4th the year before. History recently, not the best, but his stats are solid across the board. And I think in this field at that price, it's fair. And then Grillo and Riley, 2 other guys that stand out just from a stats perspective. we'll have to wait and see what we get out of them here. Grillo's just been like a safety play, from the past. But if you look at his recent form, 25th, 19th, 31st, 2nd, miscut 2nd, very solid. And then on the stats, Davis Riley right now, 8th in tee to green overall, 2nd birdie or better, 3rd DraftKings scoring, 6th off the tee and top 20 in driving distance. Bet him for sure. I'm high on Riley, higher than maybe I probably should be, but I just think those guys there. So for me, Montgomery, Stallings, Bradley, Grillo, Riley. And like I said, when you're not playing McCarthy, you're not going to play everyone up top. I think you can definitely get away with it here because these are the unique price points where there's only one guy at each price tag. What's going to happen is people are going to try and play $3 $6,800 guys, $3 $6,900 guys, $3 $7K guys. Like they're just filling out their pool with all the FOMO plays down low. And I'm going to be willing to take stands down in that 7K range and 6K range where my pool can still be like 35 guys out of 156. And I'm good with it.
You worried about Riley missing 3 straight cuts here?
No. And who was that last time? I wish I could remember now. There was someone you said, am I worried about? I think the answer in the end was not to be worried.
Okay. I don't remember.
But yeah, I see where you're coming from. My thing is about why I'm not worried about anything is because it is way too earlier in the season to worry about anything. Like it's just, you're betting a lot on talent. And to me, most of the talent is up here. There is some guys that I believe very strongly in down below, but to answer your question, you were actually on the good side of it last time. I just looked it up because I remembered who it was at the Fortinet. You asked me, was I worried about Mav McNeely and something. And I said, no, and played him. And he shot 75, 69 and missed the cut. But there was a 69 in there. Like the guy, when many were shooting much worse that day, some of the best players at the top shot 67, like Homa shot a 67 in round 2 and shot his 72 in round 3 and still won the tournament. So it's like, he could have been in the mix. It's just, I don't worry about it too much. You got to get through the first 2 rounds and make the cut, as people know. But I don't worry about too much earlier in the season. I'm just playing the guys I like.
Okay, I am switching my cash game cornerstones just to let you all know. And I know my producer's going to be extremely pissed off at me because I gave him my cornerstone list and now he has to change the prompts and everything for it. So sorry, my friend. I apologize. But I'm going to go Stallings over Denny as my second cash game cornerstones of Thigala, Stallings, and then my third cash game cornerstone, and I changed this. This one's going to be Thomas Detry. I'm going Detry at $8,800. Birdie maker supreme. The guy just makes a shit ton of birdies, and you're going to need a shit ton of birdies at this event. He makes a ton of cuts. Putting, he's good. Par 4 scoring, par 5 scoring, all solid. So I am going with Mr. Detry as my third cash game cornerstone. Other guys I do like in this 8K range, I think I'm going to give Harris English another shot. At the Fortinet, the last 3 rounds, I think he shot I think he was top 5 in the field scoring in his final 3 rounds. I think he finished 9th or 12th or something like that, inside the top 15. And it's Harris English. So, last year at this point in time, we were talking about how he was one of the best golfers in the world, right? Isn't that? And
I think it was 2 years ago when we were saying, is he the new Webb? Who also?
Yeah, but I mean, he won a couple more events that year, though. He won another event that year, and so I'm going to go back to English. I love him as a GPP play. I'm going to play the hell out of him. I'm going back to Mullinax. Hopefully, with the flop lag, your favorite thing coming out from last week, missing a cut, hurting a lot of people. This course seems perfectly suited for him, where he can just pound it the fuck out there, hit a wedge, make a putt. That's sort of his game. And so I like Mullinax. I'm going to go ahead with him. Who do you? And I like Wyndham Clark. Same type of game as Mullinax. You don't need the Bombers here. You don't have to go Bombers. It's not necessary, but I like them. So I'm going to go ahead and do Clark as well. Who do you like?
Yeah, I like the same as you. I like the guy you mentioned there, Mullinax. If you go back, and again, he did it last year here, but he was playing incredible golf before the missed cut. So stats-wise, he rates that extremely well, and I think he shows up here. I like Seamus Power. I like Taylor Moore. If you want to get a different Taylor M than Montgomery, you can play both. But if you want to get a different one, hop down here to Taylor Moore. Again, he's got to make the putts, but so does everybody else. That's where he struggles. But I think he's interesting. I like your Thomas Detry call. And then Chris Kirk and Wyndham Clark were the 2 at the bottom that I had a little bit of interest in. So main guys, Moore, Clark, Kirk, and Mullinex. Those 4 in this range are the ones that stand out for me.
All right, for the 7K range, I had a really tough time. Why don't you go first and see what you had?
Yeah, I'm going to stick to, a lot of the same guys that we liked coming into this year, and I'm going to just stay with them. And it's Justin Suh, Dean Burmeister, I think is good here at 7,600. Justin Lower, Alex Smalley, Nick Hardy. Those are sort of the 5 guys in the upper 7K range that I like. Like I said, I'm taking more stands in this range overall. So those would be the 5 guys that stand out for me up top.
Yeah, Nick Hardy, interesting. Aaron Wright coming off a top 5 across the pond. I don't remember if it was Italy or France, but it was one of them two. He's coming off a nice little top 5 there. Justin Suh hurt a lot of people, could be in a flop lag situation. What do you think of Justin Suh?
Yeah, I like him. Like I said, I liked him coming in. I'm going to take shots on these guys during this swing season. That's when we want to pull the trigger on it. And like I said, I'm not playing everybody for that reason down here. I'm just picking the ones and sticking with them because typically that's what ends up happening, right? You get everyone else gets off them. You stick with your guys that you have conviction on for the season, and that's when they'll come through for you. So I'm with it on that guy. And then Dean Burmeister, I said I liked underneath them as well.
Underneath in the lower half, I like Ben On. Coming off a really good performance last time. He went out on the issue I have with him. And one of the reasons why I switched my cash game cornerstones because he was one of them. But he was sort of an iffy one. It was more of a field pick for me because of, his third place finish last week. The only problem is he lost strokes with his approaches, which is, not great, even though he finished third. And then, him watching the President's Cup and live tweeting it, just like I did, maybe not to the extreme that I did, but he was live tweeting. He was in it. He was just seeing his fellow countrymen out there doing what they do, playing so well. It's got to have some type of motivation for him to just even be on the team the next time. You know what I'm saying? And, this is just narrative speak. I can't prove anything. It's just what I thought. And so I like betting on. I bet him 130 to 1. Adam Svensson, I'm just not they're not raising his price. They just keep him at this price and he keeps spitting out top 15s every time. So Svensson, I'm in on that man. Another guy, Phil, what's his name? Where is he? Paul Haley. Stat wise, you're not going to see much, but the guy was crushing it on the Corn Ferry Tour. Came out, we spoke about him before the Fortinet Championship. Went out, delivered top 15. Really, really good, strong player. Not a young guy, if I remember correctly. Like he's a journeyman who's been around the block, and so I like him as a cheap play. And Hubbard, 11 cash. Hint, hint. And then I'm a big fan. Go ahead, Tambo.
Yeah, I was just counting it up. I think it was at like 16 guys above this range, and there's 109 guys from 7,400 and below. And I've got maybe 15, 16. So that's like I said, and then I can sprinkle in, but I'm guessing around a 35-man pool this week. And it looks like we're on some of the same because that's where I said some of the prices just don't seem solid here. It just seems like they threw everybody in this range. So there's a lot that stands out here. Benny On, who you talked about, Svensson, Hubbard, Will Gordon, Luke List, all guys that I like, Robbie Shelton, Steven Yeager, Joseph Bramlett. And it sounds like a lot, but like I said, we're not even at 10 yet. So Patrick Rogers stands out, Neesmith, Buckley, really Fratelli, like there's, that's probably 12, 13. That's kind of where I'm at. And I just don't love the 6K range. I'll have a few down here for sure, but it doesn't mean I'll play all those guys, but that's the ones that stood out of the, whatever was in there. But there's 109 guys, 7,400 and below. A bunch of people are going to just take shots and sprinkle around on them. I'm just going to get heavier on those guys and then sprinkle in the ones that I like up top to try and close out my lineups.
All right, let's go to this 6K range. A few guys I like. T Dunks at 6,900. T to green, he's solid. Off the tee, great. Really good on the 400 to 450 yard par fours that we're going to see 6 or 7 of this week. I'm going back to MJ Duffy. I think he's finished top 10 here before. I could be wrong. I could just be taking this information out of the sky. But if I remember correctly, I think he's top 10 here before.
12.
Long off the tee. 12. So bomb and gouge. That'd be his type of game. Super long off the tee. So I like him for that. Chesson Hadley, one of the better putters on Bermuda grass greens. He's had some ups here in the last 3 or 4 months. I'll go ahead and play him. My favorite play is probably Austin Smotherman. Approach game strong. Tee to green, well above average. Birdie or better, well above average. Really good off the tee. Really good from 150 to 175. You're going to see a lot of approaches in that range. So Smotherman, another guy that I like down here. There's more. Sam Ryder at a Birdie Fest, right?
Yeah.
Sam Ryder at a Birdie Fest, $6,600. You got to play him. Who do you like in this range?
I'm adding that bet before we get to, we're not going to get to bets for a couple minutes, but Ryder, first round leader. Don't let me forget. So I'm putting that one on there. We would have bet Munoz for that too, by the way, if we had been here, but not a lot down here. Like I said, I like Carl Juan, 6,900. Callum Tarrant, 6,900. I like your Smotherman call at 68. I like your MJD call there. And then down below was just two. And you said one of them was Ryder. The other one was Vince Whaley. And the last one is Augusto Nunez for me. Again, fast and furious. But the point is, I guess, like that's what I'm saying.
Who's Augusto Nunez? Why do I not know who he is?
We played him at the Fortinet. He makes a lot of birdies coming off the Corn Ferry Tour, doing, solid guy that you could play. But like I said, the reason is because I know the guys that I want to play and I'm sticking with it. Whenever there's so many guys down here that you can make cases for that people are going to play, that it just depends on what you like. One other long shot flyer, I know our boy Skyler likes him. Brandon Matthews at 6,200 just bombs it off the tee.
I mean, if you're looking for a bomb and gouge, that's the guy, right? I mean, that's the guy.
Yeah, I like that. So yeah, that's where I'll close it off, Kenny. Like I said, it's not a lot of course history stuff for me. A lot of these guys have the stats to go with it. So it definitely is stats plays, but it's also guys that I'm sort of betting on long-term talent and seeing it come through in the swing season. So I don't really want to go away from that because now is the time we're way more likely to see it, obviously, than when we get into these regular season events and we have much stronger fields. So this is the time to do it, but you have to do it where you can't play all of them. If you go back and rewind the show and just play the guys I said, it's probably 35 guys, and that could be your player pool, and you mix it around. That's really what it comes down to for me, and that's how I'm going to do it this week.
Yeah, I usually use 30 to 35 golfers a week also. So that's normally what I do. Now, all right, so let's get the bets. I got the Heath, 20 to 1. Detry, 40 to 1. Wyndham Clark, 50 to 1. Hubbard, 80 to 1. Benny On, 80 to 1. And then I got 4 bombs. So, yeah, it's like 9 bets. So I got Smotherman, 130 to 1. MJ Duffy, 130 to 1. Will Gordon, 130 to 1. Paul Haley, 130 to 1.
Nice. Yeah, I got 5, and I'm going to add that right. So Ryder, first round leader, will be my 6th bet this week. But Riley, 45. Benny On, 90. Shelton, 100. Bramlett, 100. And Carl Juan, 125, all with the top 5 each way. So again, could see that again this week. Last time it was who was it? Taylor Montgomery. Homa ended up winning it, but I got Montgomery was top 5, and I got Benny On top 5 last time at 200 to 1. Yeah, that was a nice week as well. So from the betting,
I had betting on, but not top 5.
No each way. Yeah, that's the challenge. He got the full payout on the each way. So yeah,
if I had each way betting, I'd probably be rich.
Yeah, you should look at.
I remember the season before last, I had like 17 runner-ups, or something.
I do remember that.
Some like stupid number like that, literally like in the teens.
The only thing is you don't want to bet it. I mean, I personally don't. You don't want to bet it like if your second places were guys that were 20 to 1, then they finished second, and it sucks they didn't win because they were a pretty solid favorite to win. But I'm not each way in guys that are 20 to 1. Like some do.
It's just not worth it money wise.
You're adding more money to it, and you're hurting your overall payout. So I typically only each way when it's like 50 to 1 and up.
50 to 1 or worse.
Yeah, this week because it's Riley at 45, and because Riley has shown the ability to so far he hasn't shown the ability to close, the opposite of what I was trying to say, where I'm okay with it because it's 45. It's right on the cusp, and the rest of my bets are all super long shots, so it's not killing my overall return, which is what I want to get. So I did each way him this week at 45, but usually I don't at anybody in that range. Just everyone has their own way of doing it. It's just the way I do it.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. I'm sure at some point in time, each way will come. That I'll join a book that has each way.
Yeah, let Kenny know on Twitter. I think there is. Hit him up. I think like
there's
one book you can get.
There's one.
I think there's a reputable book. I just don't know, and we don't talk about it on here. But I think there is one that you can get. So yeah.
I might have to jump on that because it's just been too much of a pain every weekend where I have a guy in the top 3 going into Sunday, and they finish second or third, and I don't get shit. Happens almost every week. So yeah. So all right. So that should be it. Anything else before we sign off?
Joey Skovrin on the bag for Tom Kim. We didn't talk about it earlier, but that was an interesting move. He says he's going to.
Who was he? Fowler? Was he Fowler's
old caddy? Yeah. Remember Fowler just went over to.
So hopefully that old Fowler shit doesn't rub off on him. Also, we got to make sure we treat Tom with kid gloves, because the last person named Kim with that much firepower and personality, we don't see him anymore. So,
do you really think that he's like the next Anthony Kim, though?
I don't know. Who knows? He's 20 years old. He could be anything the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He could be, if he puts his mind to it, works his ass off, goes out there. I mean, he could still get exponentially better because he's only 20.
Look how motivated you are on a Monday, baby. Let's go. Motivation speeches.
He could also be worse. It's golf. You never fucking know. But I mean, like at that age, the way he's going, I mean, he looks amazing. But, we've seen people burn out. We've seen people, blaze out in glory and then never hear from them again. We've seen people who are supposed to be the next Ty Tryon, next, Chad Campbell, cover of Sports Illustrated, next. You know what I'm saying? Where the fuck are they now?
Yeah.
Right.
We do that a lot in golf. That's why I wonder. But I'm happy for the kid and I love it right now. It made the event even more exciting than it already was. Like, if you weren't into it, that definitely got you into it a little bit more. Him and Homa, even the Homa firepower came through quite a bit, and we already know
was great. Homa was great.
He was awesome at the event as well. So
another thing. So I lost the Homa bet by 1 because that Homa is my top American. And then I had like who was it? Sungjae top international, and he lost by half a point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how my betting card went last week too. So that was great. All right. So you can find me on Twitter at KendoVT. You can find my article on gupscorner.com. Should be out later today or tomorrow. I'll ship it in after the podcast is over. Use promo code. And then on Wednesday, I'll have on Gups Corner, I'll have my final betting card. I might add one more. Make it a 10 bet person card. So betting card, cash game cornerstones, and favorite GPP plays in each price range. Use promo code Kenny. Save yourself 30% on a membership. Tambo.
You can find me on Twitter at Totag and Tambo. Hit me up there. Tidbits are coming out for NFL every Saturday. There's been some really good ones past couple of weeks. Having a great run in Showdown. Shipped the slate last Thursday. President's Cup right after. So on a little bit of a heater. Check that out and find me at runpuresports.com. Every sport, one price. You can use promo code RPSHeater25 to get yourself 25% off your first payment.
All right, that sounds good. We're headed to Mississippi this week. It's going to be a good tournament. It's always a good tournament. Bomb and gouge the fuck out of this place. Roster Koreans win cups. Let's win some motherfucking money. Degen Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words.